Hey, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Tip Tuesday. Welcome, Ryan.
Thanks, Katie. Welcome back, everyone.
Yes, and guys, if you're finding value in these Tip Tuesday episodes, remember these are little bite-sized chunks with lots of value packed inside. If you guys are loving it, please do us a favor and click that like or that follow button on whatever platform you are watching or listening on. It tells us to, yes, keep on coming back for more, right, Ryan?
Absolutely. Thank you for the support, everyone.
Absolutely. And speaking of support, so you and I do two different shows here each month. We have Tip Tuesday, which comes out once a week, and we have the monthly market update, which is with Matt, who is also on Team EvoAZ, and that comes out once a month. And that's kind of like a deeper dive into local stats. We talk a lot about what you're seeing in terms of incoming applications, what buyers are saying to you, all that kind of stuff. So that's a deeper dive, guys. That's a longer episode. And we've been really getting into lately kind of like what the headlines are sharing and how that might be misinformation, or it might get you to kind of think that something's going on in the market that actually isn't, right? So that's something that we have been doing a lot lately. And Ryan, we've been getting some comments about that.
Yeah. Well, thank you for your comments. And I know some of them are kind of asking a little bit for more details. I know we wanted to address that today.
Absolutely. So one comment that popped up I thought was rather interesting. So we have been sharing hyperlocal statistics, like I mentioned, and we're sharing why these headlines aren't exactly sharing the entire story, or how they're kind of misconstruing the information, so to speak. And I mean, that's pretty normal with media, right? Like nobody's shocked. Nobody's surprised about that. But I did have somebody comment when we were talking about market conditions and how our current market conditions aren't necessarily reflecting a crash. We had somebody comment that we must have forgotten about the 2008 sort of right around there time period, about that housing crash. And honestly, I think that it's worth talking about because a lot of people are wondering if today's market is heading in that same direction.
Yeah. And I know I will never forget 2008. I was a few years into the industry. I know you were too, Katie. And wow, things really did take a turn back then. And man, I understand that comment because, prices have come off their pandemic peak. Homes are taking a little longer to sell. There's more inventory and rates are high. So things do seem a little shakier than they have been. But 2008 was completely different. It was all about credit and oversupply of homes that really led to the collapse. And a lot of it had to do with kind of the toxic loans that were out there. And we can call it that now. That's kind of what they were. I was just getting started in the mortgage industry, and a lot of the loans out there were stated loans. And what that means is you didn't have to prove your income. All you had to do was we always said you just had to have a pulse and you could get a loan, because really that's what it was like back then.
It's true.
There was 100% financing, no down payment. You didn't have to prove income. And a lot of these loans were adjustable rates where it was fixed for 2 years. After that, it could adjust a lot higher. So, obviously that couldn't last forever. So there were a lot of people taking out these no doc loans, these teaser rates. And when the ARMs adjusted around 2008, a lot of people couldn't afford their mortgages, and they couldn't even really prove that they could afford it. So, that really is the number one thing that led to the crash, and more homes had to be listed. A lot of homes didn't have equity. They were underwater, which led to short sales and foreclosures. And that's when we really got into that downturn in the market in 2008.
Yeah. And, one thing I know that you mentioned the toxic lending products there. One other product that I noticed a lot of people were using back then was the NEGAMs. Can you dive into that just a bit?
Yeah, there was a program called Pick a Payment. And basically what it was is you could do a fully amortized payment, which means part of your payment would go towards your principal. There was an interest-only payment, which just means you could do interest-only, no principal. It would be a lower payment. But the third option was a popular one in that Pick a Payment program, and it was negative amortization, which means it was a much less lower payment. And instead of your interest being paid, your principal being paid, some of the interest would be added onto your loan. So your loan would go higher rather than lower. You would basically be kind of continuing to finance your mortgage payment and increasing your loan balance to be able to subsidize that. So that was another reason why a lot of people didn't have equities. That was a popular program too. And loan balances were going up instead of down, which is a bad combination as prices were softening.
Absolutely. So what has changed since then in terms of lending practices to help that to not happen again?
Gosh, after the crash, everything had to be rebuilt really from the ground up. The ability to repay rule came out, which means lenders legally are required to verify you could actually afford the loan. So documented income, assets, employment. So things went to very easy to get a loan to you really had to supply a lot of those documents again, pay stubs, W-2s, tax returns, all of your assets had to be verified to show that you could afford the mortgage. So since then, since 2009 and 10, when everything had really changed, everybody who bought their homes now really have to qualify for it. So serious delinquencies, they spiked 90 days plus. So they were around, I think, 15% during the crisis, and now they're down to about 1% right now. They've reduced significantly because people who are in their homes right now had to prove they could afford them.
Yeah. And, I feel like whenever we have some shift in the market, we're still sort of feeling like the pain from that time, because a lot of people did suffer some pretty significant hardship during that time. I know people that short sold, had to foreclose, really felt like the rug was just taken right out from under them. And so I can understand why that hasn't been forgotten yet. That pain hasn't been forgotten yet. But I just want to remind everybody that more inventory does not automatically mean 2008, guys. In fact, we're quite far from those inventory levels. Price reductions does not automatically mean that downturn. Canceled listings does not automatically mean that downturn. Buyers having more options now and having the ability to have opportunity with incentives does not equal the same crash setup. So I just wanted to thank you, Ryan, for very clearly explaining that. I just wanted to let everybody know that no, we don't have amnesia. We very clearly remember that time period. And that's why we know that this market is not like that market. So hopefully that helps, guys.
Yeah, thank you, Katie. And just one more thing I wanted to add is, in 2008, really, so many of the homes were underwater too. That was part of the bad combination where these toxic loans and homes that were underwater. Things have changed so much now, so much, especially since the increases that we've had in prices, historically, over the past decade, a lot of people have a lot of equity. And if anything does, God forbid, happen, you lose a job, your income goes down, you don't walk away from that house. You don't foreclose on it. You sell it, you take that equity and you purchase maybe something smaller, something more affordable. So the, outside of those loans going away, everybody having to prove they qualify, a lot of homeowners are sitting on a lot of equity. And the last thing they would ever do would walk away from them.
100%. And that definitely makes a big difference. So thank you so much for adding that, Ryan. All right, guys, if you want to check out any of our previous episodes, hop on over to our YouTube channel. It is at Team EvoAZ. That's our handle. Scroll down just a little bit. You will see the bright red playlist. That is our Real Estate Tip Tuesday playlist. There are hundreds of episodes in there, guys, so you can just binge away and learn all sorts of things about very hyper-local Arizona real estate. On your favorite podcast platform, do a quick search for Arizona Real Estate Radio. There you will find us. Do the same thing. Click, like, follow, share this episode if you know of somebody in your life that might benefit from this information. Maybe they're still a little bit worried about that time frame and thinking that this equals that. It doesn't. Make sure that you let them know that. All right, Ryan, we'll see you next time.
Thanks, Katie. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks. Bye.
Looking for the right home loan can be overwhelming, but it doesn't have to be. Hi, I'm Ryan Gilliam, an Arizona native with 20 years of experience helping families find the best mortgage solution for their needs. Whether you're a first-time home buyer or refinancing, I make the process simple, stress-free, and tailored just for you. I help you access better rates, offer guidance tailored to your goals, and make the mortgage approval process easier every step of the way. Your best mortgage starts with the right partner. Let's make your home goals happen. Reach out